goal is to read them, and if you fail at reading them, well, the game punishes you by doing a multitude of things. Among them includes teleporting you around the map, draining your mana, and everybody's fan favorite is summoning monsters around you. And you have no control over the types of monsters that it summons. It's supposed to be somewhere around your relative difficulty. Well, anyways, what happens is it spawns a hellhound and a few other things, and as you may know, a hellhound is rather partial to breathing fire. So I'm like, well, I'm right next to the exit to this town or to the town anyways. I'll hit it once and then run for it. So I hit it once. It naturally does its fire breathy thing. It burns up some of my items. I'm like, ow, that hurts. And I noticed that it caught a citizen behind me on fire and one of the buildings on fire, but I didn't think anything of it. I just decided, okay, I'll just walk on the exit square, leave, and I'll come back to it later. So I come back to it later, all rested up and everything, and I'm like, well, one of the buildings caught on fire, but I'm sure they got it under control, right? I mean, the guard was killing the thing whenever I was leaving anyway, so whatever. I go back in, and half of the town has caught on fire now. Like, the original building is nothing but a smoldering pile of ash, and, like, the entire left-hand side of the city is just a wall of fire. No, I'm sitting there at the edge of this fire. I'm like, okay, great, great. I've got all the stuff that I need to identify, and the fire is right over top of the magic shop, just where I wanted to go. Whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll just wait for the fire to die down. And I'm sitting there on the edge. And I'm like, that fire is expanding. So I back out. It overtakes the general goods store. And I'm looking inside the general goods store. I see that people are just sitting there inside. They don't try to make any effort to run out of there. And I'm like, do you guys want to do something? And they keep on running in there. They keep on getting hit by the fire over and over again. And eventually I'm like, do you guys even want to live? And then, as if to answer me, they have death quotes on them. Every time they die, they say something. And you just, as soon as they burst into flames and just got disintegrated, they're just like, I don't want to live anymore. Screw it. Doof. But I'm not done yet.
Keep going.
So now I see that this fire is quickly spreading and is going to take over this sleepy little hamlet, despite, everybody just poofing into smoke left and right. Nobody seems to really care. I'm like, okay, well, there's a well in the middle of town. I'm like, obviously, what I need to do is I need to grab the water somehow from the well and put the fire out. Obviously, because, an entire city being on fire is going to be doused by one bucket of water, but whatever. So I'm sitting over top of it. I'm like, how do I draw water from this thing? And I'm scrolling through the list of options I can do. I'm like, I can drink from it. Well, maybe I have to get up the water that way. You crank it up, grab the bucket, and then, drink it, and then splash what's left over. So I pull the bucket of water out of the well. I drink it. This water tastes foul. You are pregnant.
Well,
I'm like, well, that's interesting. I mean, and I'm like, okay, well, I better find something to. You
forgot to keep pointing that though.
What?
Your character.
You're a guy.
Yeah, my character's a guy. I was getting to that.
I'm sorry.
Story for everyone, jeez.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. But this leads to the next point where I'm like, okay, well, obviously, if my character's pregnant, I gotta find some sort of contraceptive to do the trick.
Quick, find a clothes hanger.
So I go back. So I'm going back to my home, and I'm browsing through all the potions I have. I'm like, maybe restore body, maybe that'll work. And my character's like has his hands over his very, very swollen tummy, and the game, the way it's programmed, has my character creepily mumble out while he's feeling up his own stomach, "I'm going to have a baby." And meanwhile, searching through that stack of potions, he has it. It bursts right out of his stomach, and he's given birth to a beautiful little xenomorph. And the thing turns on him and starts attacking him, and stabs him with his ovipositor and lays even more eggs inside of him. But we're not done yet. After killing this thing, finally, And I'm like, well, great. Obviously now I gotta find something to wash out my character's stomach with, preferably something really, really strong. But I'm browsing through. I've got a few unidentified potions, but you know, I got a few unidentified potions. I grab them with me. I'm like, okay, I'll take them back to town and I'll identify them. I go back to town, and oh right, the entire town's burnt down to the ground. So I'm like, okay, now I've got to go for several days' journey out east, and all along the road, my guy's giving birth to baby after baby, and he's strewn corpse of aliens all along the road. Okay, so after finally arriving at that far-off city, the first person I come across is this little girl that's picking flowers. Flowers, ooh. Let's go up here. I'm like, hey, little girl, do you know where an alchemist shop is? Where I can find it? Just like she just like looks at me like, you look weird. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm like, whatever. So I just walk off, and she's following me. Little girl, flowers, you know, just standing right next to me. And I'm just like trying to search for the alchemist shop, and naturally, just my guy, domestic as he is, gives birth right in front of her. And I can't just abandon this thing, okay? I've got to take care of it, otherwise it's going to turn on the little girl and infect her, which will in turn cause more aliens, which will in turn infect the entire town. So I have to step in and intervene every single time. Then I go over to the alchemist shop, I drink it, or I go to the alchemist shop, I identify one of the items in my potion pouch is thankfully a potion of dye. You know, a potion bottle filled with dye. And as you may know, dye is rather toxic to a body. So I have my guy drink it, and it's like, oh, okay. It's like you feel extremely ill, you know, like you feel like you've been poisoned. You feel the aliens inside of your stomach begin to melt. So my guy's standing there in the alchemy shop, corking up all manner of twitching legs and eyes and everything out of his stomach, and little girl's just sitting there, you know, la 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 la, watching this happen. Going,
Story gets better every time.
This Lord's gonna tell it better every time.
So,
But it was best when he was actually going through it and documenting the whole thing for us.
My freaking sides are splitting. Where the goddamn is my inhaler?
I'll just
so
shoot
if
her out.
I'm understanding this properly, Genie, you've become the Queen of Blades.
Pretty much.
Or shall we say the King of Blades?
No, you're giving birth, you're the Queen of Blades.
The Man King.
It doesn't matter, man. Whenever you accidentally take a mouthful of Xenospooge, it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. They're not picky.
Indeed. Just make sure you don't get any weird calls from Jim Raynor. You hear me?
You know, weirdly enough, despite all that, my guy's sanity is at 0, and 0 is actually like 100% sanity, completely stable in this game.
Which is odd.
Yeah, the higher the sanity that you have, the more insane you will become. So there you go.
I wonder how fun it would be if you had a character that was 100% fat shit.
I don't even know what happens then.
Let me put it this way. Amnesia, the RPG.
The fact that they actually have a sanity meter there makes me nervous.
It means you'll lash out at people and try to eat their face.
Well, I know that you can do that in the game, but as far as I am aware, it does, just like in real life, give you, what is it, Jacob something disease? It's something like the cannibal's prion, you know what I mean? I'm sure you've heard of it referred to in popular fiction. It is called like the Twitch or something like that. It's sort of like it's a dementia, or it's a sort of dementia that afflicts somebody like that. It causes them to start twitching, spasming, and they'll eventually start going into dementia so much where they just start giggling and laughing at everything they see. And then eventually, of course, death sets in because they just lose all sorts of mental capability there.
So Chaz, you got all of that, right?
Oh, he heard it already.
I did.